told you I was gonna get it straightened out.
Your hair's cute.
Thank you. And my stylist likes me so much. She told me to come back on Saturday and get it touched up. Cause she know I sleep hard. Well, and then Sean eating ass on Saturday. I can't wait to sweat him. Girl, Chris say, baby, come on back up here Saturday, cause he done showed all the way out. And Chelsea almost spit her coffee out. She was like, she said, "Oh, I'm gonna go." That's who did my hair last week, but yeah, my curls fell because I went to sleep because I was tired. I went to sleep last night.
Okay, there we go. You just click go live whenever you're ready. The mics are muted, so you're good on that.
Oh, on my Facebook. I'm bullcrap.
We still got about 2 minutes.
Share it on your thingy. You like do a watch party or something. Just do a watch I think I need to invite people to let me do all these groups. Do you know how to do the watch party and share it to your group? I'ma give me something I can feel.
I need to, so I can't just go to yours. I have to go in some other way.
I don't know. Tell me what, tell me what, tell me what. Hello, all you This is cool. You see that?
All right, here we go.
Here, just hit all these people right here. Just keep going until I get.
You ready? 3, 2.
Well, good morning to all you melanated beauties kissed by God's lips. It's cold with your black tea sip. Let me first start by saying that you see a little disclaimer up there at the top that says Black Tea Sip does not have the rights to the music played on this show because I have been getting a shutdown from Sony and UMG through Facebook Live. And every week, after about 3 weeks on this show, I had to file an appeal, and then sometimes the appeal is denied, and then I have to file yet another appeal. So that's been working for me, even though it delays the audio for the show. I wonder why they're doing that. Unfortunately, I left my cup, so I'm not sipping tea today, but I am pouring truth. And I actually think that there is someone somewhere that doesn't like what I'm saying. Imagine that. And so you see that disclaimer there that even though I'm on a radio network, Fishbowl Radio Network to be exact, and the owner of the network has been in radio and television award winning for 30 years and clearly knows what to do to have a successful radio program. In fact, 4.8 million people listen to this radio network every month. And still, I have to write a disclaimer. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if they mute me yet again. But just so you know, the copyright is through Copyright Solutions, and we pay royalties on Fishbowl. So I don't know why they don't want me to play all this great hip hop music. Okay, now that's a little housekeeping, and we're done with that. So you know that I'm on this Trump thing. You know, the orangutan in the Oval Office that runs this three-ring circus has now decided that tariffs against China are not enough, and he now wants to attack Mexico. Okay, so I did this whole long thing for you all, and I told you all of the things that were going to cost us more money, and even luggage. Luggage will cost you more money. Um, Vegetables will cost you more money. But now we're talking about Mexico. So I have a friend out there. Shout out to Jeter, William Holland Atwell. I went all the way back to middle school, yeah. So Gina is going to be extremely upset. I actually am going to try to get him to call into the show because Monday we will find out if these tariffs take effect against Mexico. Now, Mexico and China are the largest importers to the United States. So once you affect China and Mexico, it's not those countries that feel the burn. Guess who it is? Because I told you it's a three-ring circus. It's us. So now, Jita, your Corona is going to cost more money. The avocados my babies love to eat. Let me just put this in here as an aside. Sisters, it's summertime and everybody's trying to get their body right. You should have done it before now, but who am I to talk? Y'all know I don't work out. Shh, don't tell anybody. And I just want to put this out there. An avocado is healthy fat. It puts the fat in the right places. You understand what I'm saying? I'm just saying it, and it doesn't give you a tummy. Eat avocado. I eat avocados all year long. And all I ever hear is, oh my God, she's so little, but she has a shape. It's those avocados. I'm just putting that out there. So now I had to pay more for my avocado to make sure everything's like it's supposed to be. So we need to be very concerned about Trump and these temper tantrums that he's having. Because once we have to spend more time, money, and energy actually getting the things to us, and we're having to pay more money for those things, then what he's ultimately doing is significantly impacting negatively the quality of life that you have in the United States. So you need to know when they're talking about these tariffs, it's not the countries that are feeling the burn, it'll be you and I over here on this side of the pond. So, with that being said, that's enough of that. Beyonce, the Beyhive did it again. They've got more victims. And this time it happened to be Nicole Curran. That is Jacob Lacomb's wife, the Golden State Warriors, excuse me. So, what do y'all think about that? What do y'all think about her just leaning over to have that little conversation? What do y'all think about that? So, I have my good friend, Shanika Polk, is in the studio today. She never wants to be in the studio with me, and I pull her in because guess what? She has great insight and she doesn't always agree with me. I'm also going to let Crystal James come in here and tell us a few things because she's leaving and taking a new job in New Orleans. And I always like to talk to people about new opportunities because it broadens our horizon and our perspective, right? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So Nicole Curran was stung by over 1 million bees, I understand, and that she's getting death threats. She's made her Instagram private now. And what she realizes is it is not okay. So she came out with a statement. And her statement was, you know, white girl tears. I was just taking their drink order. I mean, I only spoke to him 2 times. Well, Nicole, it might have been okay and all right, and maybe it was perfectly innocent. Who am I to judge? Clearly, I'm way in Dallas, Texas. But it just appeared to me that you leaned over just a little too much. And the conversation that you had about drinks, well, I'm no lip reader, but I know when you say, what you drinking? And then they say, I mean, because, he's still JC. So he just going to ask for some Ciroc and cranberry juice. I mean, he told y'all he'd be damned if he drink Belvedere and Puffy has Ciroc. So, he ain't doing, I mean, he ain't looking for no 1800 at the little old game. Because, he's still Brooklyn. So he just told her some Ciroc and cranberry juice. Now, see, y'all look at my lips. Ciroc, cranberry juice. See, that was like 3 seconds, if that. Mm-hmm. So, how in the world is all this conversation? I mean, like maybe she was saying, well, do you want a garnish? Would you like a lime in that? I mean, maybe that was the conversation. It just seems highly unlikely to me. It just seems like that might not quite be the case.
Did anybody ever see a drink on the sideline?
I looked and I watched that video.
One that showed up?
I never saw a drink.
That's all I'm going to say is, you know what? Out of order.
She was out of order.
Was out of order. And, it could have been very innocent conversation. Who knows what the truth of it is. But as Beyonce's husband, I mean, I would have completely sat up on the edge of my seat and turn my back to her.
Yes. But see, we got a different way of doing it. I tease her all the time. She's from Detroit. I say that's little D and we're big D. But Beyonce did what she could do because she's Beyonce and she can't cause a scene. But you can't ever be too afraid to cause a scene. Because see, when you do that, when you show people you're too afraid, you know what they do? They try you. Now she says she was leaning all the way down. When you're asking for a drink order, you turn to her and you say, "Hey, what are y'all drinking? What does he want? What does your husband want? What does Jay want?"
Right. She should have talked to her first.
I never saw any conversation between them.
No. She just started talking across her, and that's a no.
And then they said, "Well, no, it's not what they say, and this and that." Beyonce's face told the truth because see, that's Third Ward, Texas, right there. I'm sorry, that's Third Ward. That was not Beyonce's having a bad day. Beyonce was, this itch is on my nerves.
And you got about 5 seconds to, clean this up, figure it out, stop this conversation. I mean, whatever the case may be, you got 5 seconds
to move on down the road.
Right. Bye, Felicia.
Bye, baby. Bye, Nicole. So I was like, oh, so now Beyonce's publicist has come out and said, hey, this is not what Beyonce would want. Oh, no, Beyonce absolutely for it. She all the way for it. Because she lets the Beyhive swarm and sting, and then she can sit back and be like, oh, that's not me. The Beyhive, they have a mind of their own.
Well, and she could have talked to her followers or whatever, the Beyhivers, if she wanted to, and say,
and show
guys, that's really not what this was. But for them, that was another Solange in the elevator moment.
We about to go and we coming, and we absolutely coming. That's right. So I think that they need to stop lying. It was what it was. She needs to simply apologize and simply say, you know what? That wasn't my intention. It's not what I meant. I was leaning over. I didn't realize how bad it looked. I apologize. Because sometimes it's all right to just say, I'm sorry. And you'll go a lot further. You didn't ask for permission, so now it's time to say, I'm sorry. Stop trying to defend yourself. It looked bad. And now I'm a firm believer. Just because it looked bad doesn't mean it is bad. But it looked bad, it smelled bad, it tastes bad, it felt bad, it's bad.
Well, and once you've had an experience with Becky with the good hair, I mean, I looked at how she was dressed and I was like, excuse me?
I thought she was a lot younger till I looked in her face.
Wow. Didn't she have on some thigh-high boots or some other?
Now, wait a minute. Let's not come for the boots, babe. Those boots were everything. Well, it was fire. I'm all about the fashion, even if I'm not about the hook.
You need to be fire for your man. Don't be leaning across me and talking mine.
Maybe she was telling him, congratulations, welcome to the Billionaires Club.
Well,
she should have said it to be. So here's a little tidbit, ladies and gents. Here you go. If you want to talk to someone's man, husband, boyfriend, significant other, or if you're not even sure what that is, and you are simply just wanting to have a conversation, you acknowledge her first. You speak to her, you say whatever you have to say to him, and then you include her in the conversation through eye contact and let your words be directed to her. He needs to fall into the conversation, but it should never be directed to him and certainly not across anyone's lap, because for that we have no forgiveness. All right, that's just a lesson for today. So we're going to take a quick break. I've got a great show for you today. We're going to continue to talk about Golden State Warriors, but we are going to talk about Mark Stevens and him pushing the Kyle Lowry that plays for the Toronto Raptors. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. We're also going to talk about today is health and wellness. I'm trying to save somebody's behind. That's why I literally said, don't do that. Here's a tidbit I'm saving for folks today. But we're going to talk about health and wellness. We're going to talk about what we should do when we go to the doctor, how we should respond, and we're going to talk about how we are perceived. And we're going to talk about the Dominican Republic. Why do y'all keep going places that they don't want you? We're going to talk about that in just a minute. So, all right, y'all. I don't have the rights to this music because they keep trying to shut me down. I lost my appeal to UMG, won my appeal to Sony. I don't know. Every week I'm having to do the same thing. We're sipping power to pour truth. This is Corbett, the Black Tea Sip. We'll be back in a minute.
Camera's stuck over here.
It always does that, but it keeps going. But it keeps going. Oh, I see. Okay, Donette said drink water on that. She did not realize she was pressing her elbow in her left. She said, Donette said she.
I think with this whole situation with those avocados and the other produce, you know, he's going to do so much corruptible damage that there's going to be no way to salvage it, even for the next president.
You should have said that.
I married after the fact.
I didn't know who Crystal just kind of.
She's buzzing. I didn't want to overtalk
No,
you,
she decided she wanted to come on to the show, and she invited y'all to come to the show, and
Oh,
she asked me
okay.
was it all right. I'm like, sure.
I hadn't been here in a few weeks, so I
Yeah.
thought I'd make an appearance. Clinics.
I forgot my black tea sip. Somebody made me a blinged out mug, and it has the logo on it, and I left it and washed it out and everything.
What color is it?
It's silver,
Mhm.
and it's got the black tea sip logo with girls with the afro
Yeah.
sipping the tea, and silver and black. And then on my shirt, it's just a white T-shirt. I had to make her a brown crystal. She put little brown crystals in there for the face. I mean, it's not.
That's cool.
Yeah. Crystal not gonna be here till 12 o'clock.
She said standing with me. Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna come back to it because like people are hitting me talking about I gotta figure out how to get people to this YouTube channel. But I got a guy that says he's willing to advertise with me for the year. You got comments? I ain't got no comments. Where the comments come from? Oh that's Kate. So, I'm sure. See, and then all these people got to take. It's a lot. Okay.
Because they watch Beyonce's every move. Well, she
And she
sneezed
couldn't-
wrong at somebody.
And
They
she
getting
couldn't.
death
She
threats.
couldn't do anything. You know, she couldn't be like, "Girl, if you don't move over," because if you know, it would have been bad. It's bad anyway. But this time she didn't do anything. I ain't gonna make it to help. I'm gonna call Camilla today and see if she need me to come out there early. Cause I get my makeup done at 3, and I gotta go to Crystal and let her touch up my hair. So by the time I get through, it'll be 5 o'clock for me.
That's all right. I looked at the thing, and my time is actually 7 to 8 o'clock at the registration table. I don't know what I was thinking, but that's before the thing even starts. So it's mostly giving out wristbands to seniors.
Oh, I can come do that. I can do that with you. Who else on there?
It's just 4 other people.
Oh, they got enough then.
Yeah.
Probably. Ready?
All right, here we go. 3, 2.
Well, we had a few people that actually chimed in and talked about the Beyonce thing. So, women in particular are very upset about Beyonce and how the perception of what it was looked. So let me say this. So I'm a part of a Facebook group called Build a Brother Up and Build a Sister Up. I like the group. I like what the group stands for. And I posted a meme of a guy pouring seemingly the woman in his life a mimosa. Okay. And here's what the meme said. It said every time her friends ask, where can you find a guy like me? And he says, right here, baby, I cheat. I thought it was kind of funny. So I posted it in the group. But y'all know me. Everything I do is for a reason. So I posted it in both groups, sister and brother. And the sisters thought it was hilarious. They laughed and laughed, but the brothers didn't. In fact, two brothers in particular really came for me, like a personal attack against me.
Hit dogs will holler.
And all I could think about to myself was, if you felt some kind of way about it, why didn't you just simply reach out to me and say, hey, that's kind of offensive because we're in this group trying to be better, blah, blah, blah. But that's not really what they did. What they did, in fact, do was they wanted me to feel bad about myself. So since then, I had two guys that came and stepped in and said, hey, this is not, I'm not sure that you handling this the right way, brother. Because I told them, I said, well, why are you attacking me? If you felt some kind of way about it, why didn't you simply address how you're feeling? Because my intention, I really expected to get it from the women, Shanika. I really did. I thought the women would have something to say, all men are trash, they're all bad, so on and so forth. And then my statement was going to be, you need not look at someone else to find your happiness because all that glitters is not gold. Mm-hmm. You're on the outside looking in, and what looks good for her, you don't know what she's putting up with behind closed doors. And so what we need to do is not do the comparisons in dating. It's a little random. I'll tie it up in a minute. And so that's kind of how that was my stance. I ended up having to say it to the brothers. Did not have to say it to one sister. Not one sister that I can remember trashed all men, black men in particular. Not one woman. They laughed. They thought it was funny.
It was supposed to be it was supposed to be.
It's exactly right. But the brothers, I had one say, she's been over betrayed. Look in her eyes. I've been over betrayed. You don't know me at all. Sugar boo. So I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm saying it didn't happen. But I thought that was interesting. And so when you have this Beyonce thing, you have a lot of women that are saying, oh, no, she is absolutely wrong. And the brothers are afraid to say, what happened. So I had a brother in particular that inboxed me and said, you're going to talk about this on your show? And I said, I might make it to the cuts. And so what they were saying is, when those kind of things happen, how do we handle it? Like, what do we do? Because you don't want to offend the owner of a basketball team's wife, because you don't want that bad blood, that adversarial relationship, but you want to keep your woman happy. And so he was asking what to do. So here's my advice. This is kind of what I told him in the group. You attacked me because, a hit dog go hop, but you're wounded. And I think there is a certain amount of sentimentality when we're in these groups to feel a certain kind of way. To the brothers that stepped up, Chris Patrick and Kevin Mahil, I hope I said his name right. I might have butchered that. He actually inboxed me, and a couple of others did too, simply saying they didn't agree. But those two brothers actually spoke up in spite of and actually came to my defense. And one of the things we always talk about as Black women is that Black men do not defend us. Where is our help? No one comes to our defense. Well, these brothers did. And then another brother just simply asked, why did you post it? Which I thought was quite an intelligent move. He just simply said, why did you post it? And then I explained to him, the objective that I had, and he accepted that. He said, oh, okay. So sometimes we need to calm down. I don't know if Beyonce had every right to be upset. Maybe it was an innocent conversation, but Beyonce should have addressed it. She should have looked at her and said, hi, I'm here too. Right. With a little smile.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. For regular, everyday people who don't have millions and billions of dollars. Right. I mean, when you're interacting with people and you're with your significant other or, your spouse, if you have one of those, it's inherent that well, let me just say this. You teach people how to treat you.
Absolutely.
Okay. And so, if they feel like they can, then maybe they actually will try you on more than one occasion. But it's up to you, the person that's in the situation, to basically gently correct the person that you feel like is in the wrong.
And being disrespectful.
Being disrespectful, just gently correct that situation so that they understand that this cannot occur again. Or
absolutely.
I'm going to tell you exactly how to treat me because what you're doing is not sitting so well with me. Whether that's facial expression, tone of my conversation or instant attitude that you might get as a result of that situation, depending on how flagrant the violation. But you teach people how to treat
That's
you,
right.
and so no, she didn't say anything. She didn't say anything in the elevator. But I mean, I think she knows damn well what's going to happen if she basically, gives somebody the side eye. They're going to get a death threat. So it is what it is.
And I think there's a lot that we could talk about with that, but I do think that those of you who don't have millions and billions of dollars, you don't like the way some woman is talking to your man, brothers. You don't have to be adversarial. There is a way to handle it. You have to find that gentle push and not just completely shove like Beyonce did. Beyonce was like, "Get off me."
And it's twofold. It's twofold. So if someone's talking to you and your husband, then it's on that guy
To
as
correct,
well
to correct.
to correct the situation. Because
But
if a female runs up on me and mine, then I'm looking at him like you better,
but you know
say
what?
or do
But
something.
but black men have to be careful. Like the brother said, I was a faux
Your
sister.
mama used to give you that
Yeah.
look. Oh, if you get that look from me, you better straighten
But
up.
but brothers have to be careful, and that's the thing. Black men have to be so careful about how they talk to women. They have to be so careful about their tone, whether they were menacing. Because see, here's the other thing that can happen. Jay-Z could have motioned or made a statement about, hey, my wife is right here too. I feel like I'm
Right.
leaving her out. Then that woman, you know what I say about white girl tears? They priceless. And so then she's like, oh my God, I didn't mean any harm. Oh, I'm so sorry. Then her husband feels the need to protect her and it turns into something else.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's not that easy for our brothers to step in and have that say. So we have to assist them. And I know the sisters get mad at me when I say this, but I'm a lover of black men. And I have 4 brothers. I have the greatest father of all time. And I am raising 2 of the most perfect chocolate babies in the whole wide world. So I honestly believe that we have to do our job sometimes to kind of ease those moments for him, because let him see that you're uncomfortable, then he can just kind of change his demeanor. But he didn't want to be rude. And Jay-Z kept turning his attention back to the court. He really was not trying to have a full-blown conversation with this woman. And she's a lie. It was a full-blown conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So I think sometimes we have to be careful about how we handle those situations, and we can't always blow up.
No, I don't.
But sometimes,
never advocating.
But sometimes
I like to keep it classy.
But yes, but sometimes you can be so frustrated,
Mm-hmm.
you snap. If you have a certain husband of a certain tax bracket, men that are professional athletes, men that just have money. I mean, I have seen women do all kinds of things with men that just seem to be rolling nice and got a Rolex on. And you've seen them be quite disrespectful to the women. So sometimes you just have to ease the conversation. I'm telling you, I'm like, hi, I'm here too, darling.
Right.
And then he doesn't have to say anything because I've handled it. And then we can go on, and oh, I didn't mean her, and you just let her make it. Because all of us don't have a beehive. All right. So I wanted to address that because I did get some comments about that. And y'all know I love for y'all to chime in. I want this show to be interactive. I want this to be us, not just me. I learn from you, you learn from me. I hope that's what we're accomplishing. So let's talk about the Dominican Republic. Let's talk about why y'all keep running over there and they do not want you. Now I know what y'all about to say. Calm down, calm down, calm down. I know you're about to tell me that it wasn't just a black couple that ended up dead, but there was also a white woman that was dead. And you are absolutely right. And those were 3 lives tragically lost. And there should be absolutely no reason for loss of life while you're on vacation.
But there's actually been more than that.
More than that.
They're actually coming up and materializing, and people
at that one hotel, one resort,
right? And probably some others. But they're realizing now that there may be a link between all of these folks that died, all of these, missing people that they, just happen to be down there on vacation, that they, it's a terrible thing. I've been there before. I vowed never to go back because I got sick. I wasn't even drinking the water. But my thing is, it's touted as paradise, and those people are poverty stricken as well. I mean, I went outside the resort just to kind of see what it looked like, and it's a different kind of environment. And so there's a travel advisory now out there that came out the other day that you guys, they're telling you don't go there, basically, or be extra super careful if you do.
Well, here's my thing. The DR had 2,200 murders not deaths, murders last year. 2,200. You can find those things out. You don't need to wait on me on Friday to tell you that. Those things can, you can readily find those things out. You can Google is your friend. But the other thing is that 3 years ago, we learned via the Facebook, we learned that the Haitians that were going into the Dominican Republic looking for work were being denied work, denied health care treatment after being injured. They were being beaten, mistreated. We learned that. Why are you going to a place that they've already decided the darker your skin, you're unwanted, unwelcome, uninvited? Why would you go there? Because let me tell you what we do as good old black folks. And I'm all for the travel. Okay? Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But we need to be better about how we spend our dollars. What we like to be able to say is that I can go. I can spend my money. I never will forget years ago. We were having an event through my sorority. And I complained that many of the senior citizens that were buying tickets to the event were having to pay more money for the ticket through Eventbrite because Eventbrite charges. I mean, that's just what they do. And that's how they make their money, and they provide a valuable resource. So I do not want to diminish what they do. However, what I will tell you is that older people in particular do not like to have to pay to pay. Mm-hmm. One of the things my mama used to say is, I'm not going to pay you to pay you. Mm-hmm. That was her thing. She wasn't going to do that. So she was going to pay. She didn't like to pay her bills online. She still don't like to pay her bills online. I just took over. But she don't like to pay her bills online. My mama write an old school check, baby, put a stamp on that and send it through the mail. My mama does not like that. So because of that, I was always taught you don't pay to pay. Well, we like to be able to say, I have the money. So in this particular instance, what she said was, well, her people were not worried about that. That's one of the girls I was talking to. She said her people say they got money. Well, I learned from a first string draft pick in 2000, it was, and ended up being a franchise player. Just because you have money, you don't spend money. Mm. See, we as Black folks have to understand that you don't need to go and post images of you in this tropical paradise so that everybody thinks you balling. And then I got my cousin on here saying DR is one of the cheapest vacations out of the U.S. So now you're putting life and limb in jeopardy. If I know that the Haitian community, which is literally next door, mm-hmm. it neighbors the Dominican Republic, sure does not want the Haitians there, they're showing no camaraderie. They're showing absolutely no sentiments or compassion for the people in the Haiti. Then they don't want you either. Now they might take your money because U.S. money is good. Well, we got the orangutan in the Oval Office. It's good for a while, y'all. But we also know they do not want you there. So now they are finding out there have been several murders at this one resort. We don't know about the other resorts. So let's find somewhere else to go, Black people, and stop trying to ball, as my cousin said, on the cheapest vacation.
On a budget. There was a lady, and the story is on Facebook actually as well, that woke up to a man in her room, and she about beat the shit out of him. Yes. Sorry, is that allowed on? Okay. Anyway,
internet radio.
She said she almost tried to kill him, is what she said.
Yeah.
Waking up out of your sleep. Oh my God! Can you imagine somebody just in your room in the dark?
Can you imagine what he was really trying to do?
Huh.
See, that's the scary thing.
I don't know if robbery is the intent or if it's all kinds of stuff. I
don't know. And it probably is a multitude of things. You take identity and they can use it. I'm sure it's a whole ring that's going on. But let me tell you what I thought. Get ready for it. Y'all know I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist. I wish I had some drums, Angelo. I think a lot of the murders in the DR are directly tied to organ harvesting. Yes.
Organ harvesting.
I actually think that there have been several studies that suggest that organs of those persons that are from the African diaspora are worth more. And they're more compatible. Mm-hmm. We could go on a lesson about that. Y'all hit me up if y'all want me to tell it, because I don't want to go too heavy on. I'd like to keep it light. It's Friday. But I think this has something to do with organ harvesting. And this is something I always like to share. You can Google. I haven't Googled it in a while, so I've been talking about it so much. Facebook trying to shut me down. Maybe Google took it off. I don't know. Like all of a sudden I'm important. But you could at one time. I suggest you try it now and Google the price of melanin, which has to do with your level of pigmentation.
Mhm.
Lighter hues, darker hues. It has to do with how much melanin you have in your skin for your pigment. It was worth more than platinum.
Hmm.
It's being traded, bought and sold. How do you think they get melanin?
Mm.
There is a doctor in Russia. I couldn't find his name, and then, quite honestly, I probably wouldn't be able to say.
Mm.
He created a mechanism where people sit in this huge vat of solution. It was on Facebook several years ago, and I did research, but I didn't have a show then. Where you could strip yourself of your pigmentation, and literally when they stood up, they would just peel it off, kind of like how you do when you put saran wrap or some kind of cellophane on the cake, and then you pull it off, or you on the ice and you don't want it to come off, and you spread it with the butter. Y'all look at me like I'm crazy. Y'all mama don't bake. And so you just peel it. And that's how it was, just peeled it off. And these were Africans that were tired of being mistreated, and they were going to Russia to have this particular procedure performed years ago.
Oh, that makes you an albino.
You can't wash the black away.
Well, yeah, you just albino.
And when you open your mouth, everybody gonna know.
Well, okay.
So to me, it seems that has to do with organ harvesting, which is what we said, but I also think it has to do with something with melanin. Because what they're doing now is they're actually injecting melanin and looking. It's basically Tuskegee Project all over again.
Mm.
They're injecting melanin, not just, and this is not just Caucasians, it's not just people that are not black. Black folks are also using melanin in Hollywood to correct certain things. So we need to be very careful about where we spend our money, where we spend our time, because you could be putting life and limb in jeopardy.
Well, my cousin, God bless her, and I love her dearly, is doing a destination wedding in the Dominican Republic in September.
Ooh.
And in light of all these, not that I was really jazzed about it in the first place, but in light of all of these recent activities, unfortunately, I will not be attending her destination wedding. I will attend her stateside ceremony and wish her well from that point. So, but there's a lot of money that goes over to the DR
Yes,
because of those destination weddings. And I don't think that'd be a place that would make my short list.
She's not even going to her cousin's wedding.
Well, I love her. I love her.
But God bless you, cousin. We're going to take a quick break.
Hope you make it back.
We'll be right back. We'll pick this up when we come back. Sipping Power to Pour Truth in a minute.
Hope you make it back.
You crazy.
In my organs. I don't think I like that.
I think it's organ harvest. I really do.
Skin is the largest organ in the body.
I really do think it's organ harvesting. This is the most infuriating thing I've ever encountered in my life. Look.
Yeah, they need to have an invite all the.
What is the other option?
Prashant is asking, did we discuss anything about the Fiji couple dying from that illness?
What illness? I don't remember.
Okay. They don't even understand what it was. They thought it was some type of flu or virus or something. But they were both from Fort Worth, I guess. They're perfectly healthy and went over there.
I just say we will. You can talk about it.
I don't know anything other than that.
Well, that's enough.
Video stopped. Instagram stopped.
This is too long. Oh shit! Why am I trying to?
What did it say?
No, we'll do it again. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, there goes Facebook.
What? Live video block. Your live video is no longer scope on Facebook. Resume. Okay, I'm gonna lose my phone. What's okay? Let's show.
Here, I'm gonna try turning it down. I don't want you to get kicked off of it.
Why this won't work now? What the hell?
Let me see if I can still find you on Facebook. If not, we might have to.
My line system just jumped on.
Yeah, no, we gotta restart it.
I'm out. See, that's
The
annoying.
recording is still going though, that's the thing. We still have the recording.
Okay, let me start another watch party.
I'll tell you when it's up. We got 10 seconds.
Okay.
There we go. 3, 2.
All right, so we're back. It seems like we lost our Facebook. I told y'all they do not like what I'm talking about, but we still power to pour truth, and so we're gonna keep talking about it. We're gonna continue to talk about it. We're gonna continue to talk about the things that that affect us, and then y'all get the benefit of my perspective, and who doesn't miss that on a weekly basis? Y'all are all telling me about it. So we'll get Facebook up in just a minute, and then we'll, Lord, try to see what we can do. We seem to have a lot of problems out of Facebook, and we shouldn't. Don't you think that's odd that we continue to have problems out of on Facebook? I actually do. I think it's very odd that we continue to have to tell Facebook to let us in. So, with that being said, let's get back to it. So I know that many of you were asking about other people that are dying. Fort Worth couple that died in Fiji. Thank you, Krishanda. That died in Fiji. Well, yes, there have been deaths in many places, and that's why I'm talking about organ harvesting, because I think it's more than just something that suggests that there is this thing that's going on that nobody knows about, and it's all clandestine and scary. And no, it's something else. And I'm certain of it. I'm certain that it's something else. And I'm certain that you all need to stay yourselves away from that. Okay, so stay away from places that don't want you. You had evidence they didn't want you because they didn't want the Hades and they're their neighbors. Haitians, excuse me, their neighbors. So don't go there. Go to Mexico. Mexico's cheap. Go to Mexico. No. So with that being said, all right. I think this ties directly into what's going on in Tokyo, Japan. Have you heard about this, Shanika?
No.
So in Tokyo, Japan, there is a huge problem with sexual assault of women in their subway stations.
Oh, wow.
And on their trains.
Huh.
To the point where it's so bad, in fact, that they are now asking the women to fight back.
So is this the place where they had the limit on the kids that they could have?
Yes, that's China.
Okay,
that's China.
Okay.
So in China, they do have a limit. But that's because they have over 1 billion people that are there,
Mm-hmm.
and they just can't.
So clearly, they don't have enough women,
Oh
possibly,
no.
in Japan. Is that why this is happening or going on? I mean, what is the cause of all of these rash?
Um, well, actually, I think it's just perversion.
Huh.
And I think that they've been able to do it so long because we are talking about a country, well, and a continent. The Asian continent as a whole does not hold women in high regard. And because of that, I think that there are a lot of people that that have just decided women don't matter. You can do whatever you want to. So I posted it on the Black T Said Facebook page. You should really check it out. Um, you should check it out because you see a woman,
Mm-hmm.
and the man is like literally holding on to two, I don't know, railings or something, and she's in front and she's just frozen. The women are so terrified and they're afraid to fight back.
Mm.
And so they're letting these men do. So then you see a video of a man literally with his hand up a woman's dress, and she's just laying there, letting him touch her.
That's crazy.
And because he's allowed, no one steps in, no one is saying anything, and no one is attempting to stop it.
Hmm.
Now we have a whole initiative movement. I'm not going to call it initiative. It's a movement in the United States
Mm-hmm.
to stop men from being able to treat women like your grandma used to say, any kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've come to realize is this is such an epidemic around the world that women are just not valued very well. They're not held in high regard. And their safety, I talked about earlier, Black men championing the cause and coming to rescue Black women. But it seems that there's a bit of a misnomer that other people have protection.
Mm-hmm.
Because in Japan they don't, and so the police are asking them to fight back. So they created this app called Diggy Police, and the app will start to say he's a molester, or he's basically assaulting me, and it's very, very loud, and it flashes a light. Now, to me, not seeing it, I haven't downloaded the app because it's an app specifically for
Mm-hmm.
the Japanese community.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess the country of Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And what it's demonstrating is, in my opinion, you know how if you lose your phone, it has that bright flashing light, or it makes that loud, loud siren. If someone steals your phone, you have the way to activate that. So that's what I've likened it to. That's what I think about in my mind. But we have these women that are terrified of the men, and men are just, I mean, literally touching them very inappropriately.
Hmm.
One man was just walking up and just licking all over this woman's face, and you can tell that she's doing everything she can to get away. And you see him wrap his arms around her even more tightly and hold her, and she's completely repulsed by it. Now, what I want to say is, thank God for the kind of mama that knows how to cuss. I'm sorry, she probably listening. My mama doesn't cuss. My mama doesn't cuss. But when you got a mama that knows how to do that, then you learn some things about how you value yourself, and you don't allow people to treat you some kind of way,
Mm-hmm.
other than the way you want to be treated. Because to me, knee him in the nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, push back, because usually anyone that is that perverted is also a coward.
Well, and I don't understand what's the value of an app that when you have people standing around you witnessing and seeing it and not doing anything, not calling the police when they visually, witness the act occurring. So, what is an app going to do for you?
I think it is a mechanism for a woman to feel more in control. Because even if no one comes to her rescue, the fact that this man is now being called a pervert, a predator, a molester,
Mm-hmm.
he's not going to want to be associated with that. And I think it's a way to just get him to walk off. Because when on the video,
Mm-hmm.
y'all, it's on the Black T Still page. On the video, you see when some people challenge this man, he walks off.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like the police when they bother little Black kids and people start saying stuff and then they just walk off. Or when you stand your ground. I know I went somewhere, but it's kind of like that. So that's what I've likened that to. That's kind of what I think happens. But here's the more serious question. Why is it that these men think they can just treat women in any way they want to? It's still this notion that I actually had ignored and I had not given a lot of credence to, and I need to be honest about that, and I need to kind of backtrack the way I felt about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember Katie Couric talking about how Lowry was pinching her butt, and they said something you wish you wouldn't do, and it was on Watch What Happens Live. You know that Andy Cohen? Isn't he the one that does them housewives show? So
Yeah.
he asked her about that, and she said, "Well, I wish he stopped pinching my butt,"
Well, but she knew about all the other stuff that was going
and
on,
said
and she
nothing.
said nothing. That he terrorized those women that work there in that place, just trying to get ahead for women in general in the workplace. And she was making her money, turning a blind eye while she was getting paid her multi-million-dollar contract. So I just don't have a lot of faith in whatever it is that she's talking about. She was good at what she did, but I just don't feel any sympathy for her. Who I do feel sympathy for was Ann Curry.
Well, before you touch on that, let me say this. Sometimes women who look powerful are not empowered to do something.
Mm.
So she very well,
She could have said something.
she could have said something, but I don't know that she was empowered to do so. Because let me tell you what happens, and my mama taught me this very effectively. When you stand and fight, you fight alone. You fight alone.
Hmm.
When you stand to say something and to speak up, usually you look behind you, it's nobody there. You have to be very true to your convictions, staunch in what you believe, to stand flat footed, like I say, 10 toes down, and really be able to take the heat that goes with speaking up.
Hmm.
That's not always the case. So I don't know what Katie Couric did, the how comes and the whys. I know that in her face on that Watch What Happens Now show, the look in her face was she really wanted him to stop. But now here's the thing. We always talk about men not defending us as Black women. Didn't seem like she had much defense either because she was married.
Mm.
Now I don't know about y'all, but I have never had a man in my life that would not step up, brothers, daddies, whatever else he is, ex-husband, whatever else, that would not step up and say, wait a minute now, hold up. Now, I understand that this is going on. Maybe you don't mean no harm, but I don't like it.
Hmm.
She needed someone to defend her, so I'm not sure that she could be her own defender.
Hmm.
Now, you want to talk about Ann Curry.
Well, I mean, I just think, in the vein of him terrorizing women in the workplace, I think Ann Curry was a hell of a journalist. I think she was second to none. He ran her out of the business and damn near destroyed her career, you know.
No, well, I think he did destroy her career.
And it wasn't sexual, I don't think, with her. I just think he was a bully,
Well,
in the workplace.
well, and I think it's this misogynistic way of doing business that is culturally accepted in the workplace that those of us that are stronger never really fall prey to.
Hmm.
When I was in law school, I was hit on by two professors,
Hmm.
but they were very gingerly in the way they came to me. And I said, no, I'm not interested. And I was done with it.
Hmm.
And they didn't try. I knew other girls who, I have to be honest, I did not have compassion for. And I realized how ignorant I was because they just didn't have my strength. Because, see, this is what I knew. I know if I could reach down there and call 214 area code and tell my daddy that this man was up here messing with me, my daddy and my brothers were on their way down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And my daddy had no problem stepping up in that school, law school, and any other kind of school,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
to get it straight. That's what I knew. But if you don't have that, or if you don't know that you have that, so I have really had to rethink my stance on, well, say something, because I'm willing to stand alone and have my say, regardless of what it is, because I just got a big mouth and I'm opinionated. But I don't know that she had that.
Well, and that could very well be true. But, in the frame of mind of someone who didn't have daddies or brothers to call to come to your rescue, you just have to find that inner strength and wherewithal to just say, this is something I'm not going to tolerate. This is a part of the standard that I have for myself and for anybody else. Again, I say, you need to teach people how to treat you.
I agree with
and
that.
that's the case. So when I'm boardroom brawling and I'm in there and I'm the only melanin face in the room, there's some things that I'm not going to be able to tolerate.
That's
And
right.
they know off the rip that I don't have to use a cuss word to put you in your place.
Well, but again, it's kind of like favor. Like favor ain't fair.
Hmm.
Well, everybody doesn't have that. And so I think that I need to be more aware And I'm the kind of person, had I seen something like that, I would have certainly said something.
Mhm.
But then you also have to worry about the retaliation, because that certainly goes on these
Sure it
jobs.
does.
And you
Sure
have
it
to be
does.
concerned about, what kind of retribution, what they're going to do to you. And so it becomes bigger than just you.
Mhm.
So, and then I said earlier, our brothers have to be careful about how they handle certain situations. So what we need to do is be more
For self, and had they just banded together a little sooner, a little earlier in the game, before he was able to install locks on his doors, lock women in his office and that type of thing, that we actually you wouldn't have had to be this far down the road with people being assaulted and bullied in the workplace. So that's
well.
all I'm saying, that we need to be more of a community amongst ourselves as women in the workplace, and supporting each other. You talked about the group, lift a sister up. Okay, well, in the workplace
She
it's
gets that
not.
wrong every time. It's
Well,
build a
build,
sister.
lift, build, yeah, empowerment.
She gets it wrong every time. Every time she gets it wrong.
But
Every
the
time.
point, the point is, we need to really engage with one another in the corporate culture, because it's hard enough to do it individually. But if you have some allies that you can talk to, bounce things off of, not just mentors to help you get to the next level, but people you can actually talk to about different things that are happening around the office. If there's favoritism going on, yeah, you may be able to run the HR, but if HR is in cahoots with
No,
that guy,
HR is never
then
a good idea.
well, I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. So if you are
You're gonna
able
lose your job.
to dialogue with other women, then maybe you guys can strategize
Well, I agree with that.
about different ways to approach a
But you
situation
have
that
to
may be
be
toxic.
but you have to be a unit. And going back to my original statement, when we started talking about this, we were actually talking about what's going on in Tokyo, Japan, and how these women are being accosted in train. So now they have women only trains. You should see the train. Literally, you could not go and take a breath in that train because they're so afraid of being accosted by these men. So there are things that they're trying to do now in Tokyo, but it did make me think about, just the state of where we are as women. And so I think you need to be empowered to say, get your GD hands off of me in a way that makes him understand that my next movement is not going to be a statement, it's a movement, and I'm going to have my knee adjoin your testicle. All right. So we're going to take a quick break. Some of y'all are just coming back with us because Facebook keeps kicking me up. Why y'all think they keep kicking me up? I haven't even really started talking about what I'm going to start to talk about. Y'all stay with me. We're Power to Pour Truth. I'll be back in just a minute because we're going to talk about advocating for ourselves at the doctor. All right? For those of you that are from Oak Cliff, Texas, already. Oh, he got it. This is check this out. It was Saturday. Served. In the Great Bowl. And the couples lounge, we're gonna bring you real talk on relationships and love. So don't let it get on my show no more. 50 times. Education.
It just is random.
And we'll keep you informed.
It's random rotations.
And what's going on in the world. Don't miss the couples lounge. Shopping. The wait is over. Now you can get your own awesome Fishbowl shirts, sweaters, and accessories through the Fishbowl Radio Network website. Log on to fbr.us. It's easy to find swag at the top of the page and start rocking the latest FBR swag. The Fishbowl swag store carries pens, backpacks, wallets. Why do you think they keep kicking me off?
I'm telling you, the only thing I can think of is those songs have codecs embedded in the audio. So what Facebook probably has, they probably have some kind of audio detection where, okay, as soon as they hear this code, they cut it off. Because if you notice, Instagram and Facebook cut it off at the same time. So that means it hit a certain point in the song where that code is embedded in the song, and then they're able to just track it, cut it, and then basically cut it and ask questions later. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This year, make your corporate event, holiday party, or birthday magical with the Magic Mirror Photo Experience. Your guests will love it and be talking about it for days.
Where we eating lunch? Because I'm sure I'm hungry.
Papa knows. I told him to miss me to Papa knows.
It's fun and gives your occasion that special touch that your guests will appreciate. The Magic Mirror. Find us on Facebook to book now. Search Mirror Image Rentals. That's Mirror Image Rental. Let the magic begin. Share your voice, opinions, creativity, ideas. Music at BRA.US.
Oh shit, I lost what I'm trying to do.
Crystal's supposed to be here.
I don't know, but she trying to get her hair braided.
Hair braided. She ain't making this shit.
She was up so, oh, I forgot to call. We got Facebook. Look, somebody's watching on YouTube. I thought it was Sean. It's not. They need one thing, Bridges, too. He said keep wanting me to renew. I'm like, I couldn't even get on YouTube yesterday. He kept blocking it, which you don't want to. I don't know who that is, so I'll just speak it. Keep now. You know, Sean told me just stop playing music and see what happens. But people like music. I gotta figure that out. I need to write. I'm gonna have to write Facebook and tell them why y'all doing it. And they were like, we don't have anything to do with the Facebook Live. And I said, I think you're focused on one thing and you haven't been able to move from that. This is not a Facebook Live situation. This is a video situation. You know. I haven't had nothing to eat either. I'm hungry. Seeing it always breaks my video up into two separate videos. They go ahead and approve my own. See. And I give them a shout out. Because each group it's got about 5,000 people total in groups. Well, a little more than that.
So what's the next topic?
I'm gonna talk about Neymar de Silva dos Santos Jr. and his rape allegation. Okay, he's a soccer player. I'm talking about him. You brothers need to be careful too. So we always talk about the women, but brothers, you need to be careful too.
Doctor's office, okay.
And then next, I'm gonna talk about this soccer thing, and then we're gonna talk about girl, I ain't typing shit. I ain't look up. This keyboard is so funky. It's so flat. Again. It's on the screen. Uh, uh, these electronics are giving me food.
I'm not saying I'm for the movie where I'm for the change, but I guarantee you I'm just walking the point. That's our job.
Tell me, God. You know what, Angela? What I also noticed though,
What's that?
it always cuts off after an hour. Have you noticed that? So I was about an hour when it cuts off. Close to it anyway. I'm wondering if I should just break my show up. See, it's partially muted. And see, UMG will I'm gonna have to find out who's at UMG and see what they're going on. Ready?
Here we go. Count you. 3, 2.
And we're back. So, I'm always talking about what we need to do as a people, because this show is about the Black life experience. And I'm not trying to exclude anybody else, but I've been Black all my life, and that's what I know best. But I also want to talk, we've been talking a lot about sisters and protecting themselves. Brothers, you need to protect yourself too. Men, pay attention, because the great soccer player, Neymar de Silva Santos Jr., has been accused of rape by Nigeria Trinidad. Now he's having to answer questions. He's not playing right now, but a video recently popped up where you can see that she's enticing him to fight her.
What?
So you see him come in the room where you can't see the door, but you see him enter. You see him lay on the bed. You see her lay on top of him in the bed. And then all of a sudden, now, of course, there's no audio. So I don't know what's saying. He might have said something sideways. I do not know. But what you do see is her start hitting and knocking, and then you hear, and then all of a sudden you hear a lot of boom, boom, and people talking, but it's inaudible. You don't really know what they're saying. So we talk about sisters and protecting yourself, and empowerment, and how we want our brothers to champion the causes for us. But brothers need to be very careful about their affiliations. Y'all need to stop going out here getting certain kind of people to spend your time with. That's how I'm gonna say that. Okay. I teach my children. We have this little saying. We say all Black folks ain't good and all white folks ain't bad. You have to make a decision based on the person. But I will say that y'all have learned nothing from OJ. Y'all keep getting caught up. Ezekiel Elliott. Y'all keep getting caught up in these situations. Now, everything ain't for everybody. Now, I'm a firm believer you ought to love who you love, like who you like, do what you want to do, but you ought to make intelligent decisions. That is what I'm saying. So now this young man who is Hispanic, but of the African diaspora, is in a world of hurt. He is now having to answer questions, although the rape case is out of Sao Paulo. He is now having to answer questions in Rio de Janeiro. He's in South America. His name has been tarnished. He's been accused of rape. And I don't care what nobody says. If you have not committed a rape, Mike Tyson, and you are accused of the rape, Tupac, and you get, and they say, oh, that didn't happen. Now remember, Mike Tyson, he served his time, but we all question why Desiree, and she was a sister. Let's keep that one. Let's keep 100. Let's not smear one whole class of people without talking about the truth about who we are. She Went to his room at 2 o'clock in the morning. 2 o'clock in the morning. Now I know y'all know your mama said ain't nothing but legs open past 2 o'clock in the morning. He went to his hotel room at 2 o'clock in the morning and then said rape. Well, it could have been. If you change your mind midway through, that is your prerogative. It could have been.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that you don't put yourself in precarious situations. That's what I know. And going to somebody's hotel room at 2 o'clock in the morning and then saying, well, now I thought we drink coffee and watch the news. Can't you turn on CNN? Stop. Girl, bye. You don't do that. Now, this young man's name has been tarnished. It didn't matter whether we believed Tyson or not, his name was tarnished. He's forever considered a rapist. Tupac, God bless the dead. He died being considered a rapist. What is it, mystical? You know, it wasn't him that committed the act. It was his entourage, his friends that committed the act, and ultimately he had the deeper pockets. He was going to make the greatest impact, and he went to prison. What I am saying to you, brothers, young men, and some of you old men are out here doing the donkey too. Stop and think about the repercussions of your actions, because everything that look good ain't good.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen time and time again where young Black boys have been deprived of their scholarships and opportunities. There was a case in upstate New York. I do not remember the brother's name. One said he just moved past. He was accused of rape. A young white girl at the university had a three-way with them and then had regrets. She accused them of rape. They both lost their scholarship and kicked out of school. One boy can't get past it. He really has not been able to get past what he was accused of and how he lost it. And he knew since Pop Warner he was going to play professional football, well on his way. Now, I'm not saying because she was a white girl and they Black that she going to accuse him of rape, because I am not that stupid. I told y'all, Desiree, you know she changed her name, accused Tyson of rape because she went to his hotel room at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's crazy to me. But it happened. This young man now is involved with a woman who likes to fight. You have to be careful about who you have affiliations with, because everything that look good ain't good. Now, y'all grandmama done told y'all that. Your mama done told you, auntie have told y'all that you all need to be protecting yourselves as well. You need to make better decisions. Y'all see some tail walk by and lose your mind. When are y'all gonna grow up? Now, this is not a man bashing situation, because I'm concerned. I'm concerned about you, brothers, because when you leave home, it is questionable about whether or not you're going to come back. I am concerned. I am concerned because not only are we under attack from certain police officers, I'm certainly not calling all police officers bad, but I'm saying mothers of Black boys, we are terrified when y'all leave the house. We are constantly trying to figure out what we need to tell you in order for you to be protected. And the sad thing is we're trying to have conversations with our Black boys to tell them, keep your hands on the steering wheel when the police officer comes, and don't do this, and don't make no eye contact, and say yes, sir, and don't. This is ridiculous that we're having to do this, but this has become a factor of our lives. And now y'all out here chasing tail, getting rape allegations, and destroying your lives. Stop. Okay, that was my tirade. Did y'all see me stop and get my soapbox? No, because I came with my soapbox ready, and I planted my feet firmly upon them before I started this show. All right, so going back to being safe, I recently found out that in certain places, you can order a drink as a woman. It's typically towards women who have creepy guys hitting on them at the bar. But I'm saying brothers need to be aware of this too, because some of these women are just not right. I am not championing the cause and saying all these women are being attacked and approached by these men. That's not true. There are creepy people. I don't care what color they are. I don't care what their tax bracket is. I don't care what their nationality is. It's creepy people. So there are drinks. I actually tried to find what the drink was in Dallas. Apparently, it doesn't exist. But in Tampa Bay, Florida, you can order an angel shot at a lot of bars. It didn't list all the bars because how much time would that take? But you can order an angel shot, and the bartender knows to call for help. I'm trying to figure out why we don't have that in Dallas.
We need that everywhere.
Am I going to go back to the culture of, is it like the blue wall of science? You just don't help people, and when they don't know how to get rid of a guy. So keep that in mind, boys and girls, that there is such a thing. And perhaps if you're on a date, they're saying it was originally for women that were on what is this social media thing called? Bumble,
Um,
and what's the other one? Something else. Why are y'all on these sites? Like, how do you think that's safe? Child, I could go on and on about how we are just really failing uh in these streets. But there is a drink. And so perhaps you need to arrive if your date is at 8 o'clock, maybe you get there at 7:30 and you ask if they have a drink. And then you tell the bartender, if this is not going well and I feel unsafe, I'm going to order a such and such. And then I'd like for you to call this number or call for help. Maybe we need to be more proactive in our dating lives. Maybe you need to have a friend on staff. See, I keep my hitter with me. So she here today. So I don't have no problems. I can text her 911 and she already knows where I am and she's coming. But I don't have those problems because, well, y'all know me. So I don't. That's not part of my issue. But I thought about this very seriously. Oh, somebody's texting me and they're saying Hinge, Tinder, Bumble. See how I need help because that's not a part of my reality. But I do know it's a part of many people's reality, and perhaps you need to start asking the bartender, are they willing to participate? You can order a certain drink. And if you order that drink, you can get some help,
well,
male or female.
I just feel like if you have those kinds of concerns, I mean, yeah, I mean, somebody for the first time, but it seems like you should have had a plethora of conversations leading up to that first actual meeting where you're just not jumping in with somebody who you aren't feeling semi comfortable with. I mean,
what if they sent their what if their representative is on the phone and then you get there? I mean, even this catfish thing, yeah, I know I'd be kind of late to the party because I don't meet people over the internet. So no disrespect for those who do. That's just not my ministry. But maybe they just wait a minute. Let's back that up. We all knew the guy who looked good, and then you get there, he 4 inches shorter than what he said. He don't quite look like, he sent you a picture from, 20 years ago.
well, that's when you get, you have to pre-orchestrate that whole girlfriend situation where girl texts me, I got to get out of here. It's an emergency. So, I mean, this fool is 2 inches tall, or whatever the case may be. He's disrespectful, or he's just,
or he's
being
drunk.
rude, or
Yeah,
he's drunk,
yeah.
or he's broke and ain't got no money. I'm about to pay my tabs and leave this fool sitting here to wash these dishes. So, whatever the case may be, I mean, your
Yeah.
girlfriend doesn't have to be right there with you, but you ought to have an exit strategy. And it may not always be appropriate for the bartender to be your savior. If they've got other tables, they're not paying attention to you. How quickly do you think you're going to be able to get some help?
Well, now shout out to, I told you, one of my favorite groups, Build a Sister Up, and they got Build a Brother Up, and they support this show. So I want to say shout out to them. There are a lot of black women out here saying they don't have no friends. Now, baby, something wrong with her.
What?
And brothers, if she does not have any friends,
Beware.
run for the hills, child.
Beware.
So, there are people that move into cities and they don't really have those relationships with their coworkers. You need other mechanisms. I'm not saying that yours does not work. I just think you need to, go early and see where all the exits are and be prepared to make a move if you have to. Because the truth of it is that we live in an environment where people are not necessarily always telling you who they really are, especially if you're meeting them. You swiping. Ain't that what they do? They swipe.
Yeah, okay, I guess.
So they swiping, meeting people. I just think you ought to have some mechanisms in place if the meet doesn't go right.
But you're not alone. I've never dated through an app. I just haven't. I believe in face-to-face conversation.
But that's because we old.
Yeah,
we
that's
old.
what it is. Okay.
We just look good. But no, but there are younger women out here, and I think when you're younger, you take more chances. You're not as aware, And so I'm saying this for the brothers too, because there's some crazy women out there. So just make sure that you have. But I thought the idea of a drink was good because if they have a drink there, then those persons that work at that particular bar, they are prepared. They're ready. They know what to do, and they feel empowered by the establishment to actually step up and help. And I just think we need to do a better job of protecting ourselves and not expecting someone to come to our rescue all the
Mhm.
time. So I think that's your point.
Mhm.
But I think if you're talking, you go to a girl and you say, hey, look, if I order such and such, I'm trying to get up out of here. And, if you could do X, Y, and Z, or whatever that situation is, you can think it through and decide what's best for you. But I think that you ought to have some mechanisms in place. All right, I'm going to take a quick break, you know, sipping power to pour truth. But we'll be back in just a minute. And then we're going to talk about how doctors treat us because I think we need to be advocating for our own health in a very rare way. So today is about health and wellness. Protect yourself before you wreck yourself. This is Corey with the Black Tea Sip.
Carry your pistol.
On the date. But I'll be done shot somebody.
All right.
Get your hands off me.
Right.
Because I remember one time Daphne did that. She was like, now what you say?
Oh no.
And put the pistol down.
I mean, I would carry it in my purse. I mean, it's legal if you got to conceal.
Right, but she
whatever,
laid it on the table to let
Okay.
him know.
Okay.
Done with this
This ain't what
conversation.
you want.
This ain't what you
This
want.
ain't what you want. But if you scary like that, you don't need to be dating no strangers on the app. If you feel like you're not secure and where you going in the public place that you're taking someone to, or who's gonna show up, I think that's a whole waste of time. And most of them are creepy anyway.
I know people got married from the thing.
I don't know. It just seems like that's
And they were old.
ass backwards. I mean,
And they old.
Seems like nothing good could come from that. So
it's golden. I'm taking my freedom.
What's Michelle saying?
She said you are on the road talking about these catfish situations. Lord, taking my freedom.
How Crystal inviting us, but she ain't here. Ain't that something?
I'm not surprised. Living my life like it's golden. 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 Monday jumped off of Facebook and got on Instagram to find the show.
Oh, cool.
Like it's golden. Living my life like it's golden. But YouTube is spring fire, so I'm gonna start pushing people towards YouTube. Oh my freedom. Into it so naturally.
My girl, Jilly from Philly.
Like it's golden, living my life like it's golden, living my life like it's golden, living my life like it's golden. Like it's golden.
The riskiest hotspots in the Caribbean. Something says they're suspecting a third couple is missing.
They hard for the people. Like it's golden.
Here we go. 3, 2.
Well, we've talked about a lot today because I told you today's show was about health and wellness. And I told you that you need to be safe, brothers and sisters, and I've given you a lot. But I want to share a little personal experience today. So, I believe that we need to share and each one teach one. So, want to hear it go. So, my mother, who is adored by everybody, but especially me, recently just wasn't feeling well. And it happened very quickly. And I know she's gonna be like, girl, you telling my business on the radio. Yes, mom, telling your business because we're gonna help some folk today. So my mother, being of a certain age, but she's fabulous. She her teeth were just not straight across. Back then, child, they wasn't putting braces on, and my mom wasn't putting no old lady with no braces because her teeth she has really pretty teeth, but she had these teeth at the bottom were just a little bit, I guess, just uneven, kind of staggered a little bit, but it wasn't really bad, where you like, oh Lord, she could eat an apple through a picket fence. It wasn't one of them. And so, but she has this one tooth, and this is how amazing the human body is. The tooth, after as age and things, your mouth starts to shift. So the tooth moved behind another tooth. Well, as it continues, and all of this happened within the span of 4 to 6 weeks. Now, to be honest with y'all, my mama told me to call the where I go, because she doesn't want to drive to her place, like Delbert Benowitz. She's like them still stars, like local stars like Jerry Jones. But she's friends with my aunt, and then subsequently my mother, and that's who did my mother's dental work for years and years. Now my mother doesn't drive, so I was like, Mom, I'll take you, but I'm running around. So I didn't do it. She didn't do it. We dropped the ball. Well, this tooth that moved behind actually irritated her tongue, and it put like this little tiny blister where it was still the color of her tongue, but her tongue was a little red. And she was like, my tongue hurts. So we did some, home. Y'all know I'm all holistic. We did peroxide and the honey, and she said actually her tongue stopped hurting. The next day, her tongue was significantly swollen. I thought she was having an allergic reaction. She's going to anaphylactic shock. I raced her to Clements Hospital, through the ER. And my mother is not feeling well. Now, I'm no doctor. I'm just Dr. Mom. But I actually felt like maybe because, you're sick, you sleep all night, germs form in the mouth. And so now because anything you put in your mouth, especially under your tongue, it absorbs right into your bloodstream. So I'm assuming that's why she was feeling so poorly. So I rushed my mother, because seniors, you don't play with seniors. If it had been me, I might have gone to urgent care, but it's my mama, we go to the ER. And I went to Clements, UT Southwest, is supposed to be one of the top in the nation. And we get there, and I noticed that they're having her stand, and she's leaning on the counter talking to them. And I finally just said, Mom, won't you have a seat? Because I went to park the car. So, Shanika, you know how I'm about my mom. Like, you'd rather wrestle a bobcat in a suitcase to take on my mom. Well, that's pretty much anyway, especially my boys. That's like a grizzly bear with a toothpick. But I've digressed. And so we get back, and the nurse says, so you have blisters under your tongue? I said, no, she has one blister on the underside of her tongue, and her tongue has significant swelling. This nurse completely disregards what I say and says, so you have blisters under your tongue, redirecting her conversation to my mother. I say then in my school teacher voice, I don't had to reach back from 100 years ago. No, she has one. By this time, I'm demonstrating with my finger in the air. One blister on the underside of her tongue, and she has significant swelling. She's having a difficult time speaking because her tongue is so swollen. In my opinion, it's 3 times as large as it should be. Oh, okay. Now I'm trying to understand why any super hell is wrong with you that I had to repeat myself. Like, what's wrong with you?
Not once, not twice, but 3 times.
And so I'm like, okay, what's going on here? This Dr. Piel, Piel, because I believe in calling people by their name. Walks, and the nurse was Nurse Brittany. He walks in, he looks at my mama, telling me, he said, oh well, we'll just give her this magic mouthwash and blah blah blah. And we are in and out of there. I lie not in 30 minutes. I'm like, oh, okay, mama. I get to the pharmacy. Sister is the pharmacist, and the medicine is going to be $80 because the compound is part of it is Benadryl that you mix with a prescription solution, so the insurance won't pay for it. She said, you only going to use this about, she said, 2 days, $80. Now, I'll do whatever you want, but you could get some over the counter, because she's a pharmacist, so she understands what the medications are. So the sister comes out and she says, okay, and she tells me get the Maalox and the Benadryl, because that's basically all it is. So now they want $80 for a derivative of Maalox and Benadryl. So we take it. It doesn't work. We go to the primary care physician. And actually, y'all, I'm such a devoted daughter. I actually had them in there a 2-for-1. My daddy came to me, tell me he wasn't feeling well. I was up 2-for-1. Both of them 10:30. They say to me, well, he could come at 1. No, ma'am, he cannot, because what I'm not going to do is be ripping and running back and forth up here. So what we are going to do is we're going to have 2 people at 10:30, first time, 2-for-1. Thank y'all. So that happens. So the primary care physician is Dr. Perry. She's a Delta. She wants to come on the show. I think she's going to have some good information. So we're trying to set that up. But she's a sister, and she trained in China. So her medical degree is from a United States medical school, but she also did some studying in China. So she
Holistic
could understand.
medicine.
So she could understand Eastern medicine. You're
Mhm.
right, holistic medicine and Western medicine. You know that, baby. I'm here for it. So, but she couldn't see. They, because it's my mom and my daddy, could not see Dr. Perry. So they saw Dr. Kenny. We're unfamiliar with Dr. Kenny, and so a white gentleman walks in, and he's extremely nice. He works at a place where they have a medical practice on one side, and then they have a workout space on the opposite side for people, for seniors to go and gather and work out. So it actually is a really good setup. This man is conscientious, concerned, compassionate, and knowledgeable. He takes the time to do more than the ER doctor, and he actually looks at my mother's tongue, and he realized it's a small cut in her tongue. The tooth was not jagged, but it was how it had shifted. It was kind of diagonal, and it cut her tongue.
Hmm.
He said, "I wonder if that's it because it's laying right there, so the tongue is irritated. It's not getting any relief." And we talk. So he said to the dentist. So I called because baby, I'm Oak Cliff, Texas, so I know somebody does some of everything. So I call. I actually make an appointment for my mother, Sherry. Shout out to Dr. Bixton's office. Sherry always comes through, and they see my mother that same day. Well, the tooth needed to be pulled. Dr. Kenny was right. Dr. Bixton, who I would trust with my children, he's phenomenal. He pulled the tooth. The next day, my mother's tongue swelling has gone down. Everything is fine. You saying, why are you telling me this big old long story about your mama's mouth? Hold that. I always got something for you. Go grab your cup. I'm gonna fill it up. Here's the deal. I remember my children's pediatrician, black guy, grew up in Garland, married his high school sweetheart. She's an ophthalmologist. He's a pediatrician. It's black love. They're great, right? I remember her telling me when I took my oldest son to see her because he got glasses. Oh my God, he thinks he's so grown up. He's got glasses. Like, why is growing up mean you get glasses? I'm trying to hide my readers. She said in medical school, we are trained not to listen to black people,
Hmm.
that we are trained that they cannot advocate for their own health.
Hmm.
So I flash back to that conversation I had with her. And I think about Dr. Peel, Piel, at Clements, UT Southwestern, and Nurse Brittany. And I think about that because we were in and out, checked in, vital signs, see the nurse, doctor comes, and we're in the car in 30 minutes.
Wow.
I am saying that to say that you have to advocate for your own health. And if you have parents that are seniors and you do not live in the same city with them, you need to be in touch with a church member, a neighbor, a cousin, somebody that can go to these doctor's visits with them.
Mhm.
You need to have somebody there. And here's the thing. I got a cousin who had a wreck in the bus. She was on the bus going to school. The school bus had a wreck. I remember my mama went ballistic because she broke her leg and they left her in the hospital alone overnight. She was 6 years old.
Hmm.
See, getting caught up in your own life and you can't see about nobody.
Mhm.
Okay, well, that's all I said about that. So, because somebody in the family gonna feel some kind of way. Um, really and truly, we have to be better advocates. I say all the time, we share the Black life experience on this show because they are taught that we cannot advocate for ourselves. So they're very dismissive of us. And I couldn't help but go back to Nurse Brittany, who asked my mother if she had blisters. Well, now, I am an education major from Paul Quinn College. If you know anything about Paul Quinn College in Dallas, Texas, it relocated first. It was in Austin, then it relocated to Waco, and the campus was beautiful. It sat on some land that was owned by a white gentleman, and they could have it for a few years after his death, and then the family decided they no longer wanted the little color school there, and they ended up moving to Dallas, and where they sit on what formerly was Bishop College, which is no longer. Okay. With that being said, that's a little history lesson for those of you that are not in Dallas. When you leave Paul Quinn College, you can teach rocks. My line sisters, I have one that is test coordinator for DISD. I have another one that's a principal, invited to be a principal for DISD. And my other line sister is assistant superintendent. Okay, I'm just going to throw that out there. When you leave Paul Quinn College, you can teach rocks. Okay, so I flash back to how we're treated in the school systems, how parents are dismissed. I had a show where we talked about criminal trespass for parents who are advocating for their children so that they do those things so that you don't have a say in your child's education. And now I'm faced with caring for senior parents. I'm not gonna tell you how old my mama is, but my dad is 84. He don't care. He say he look good and he don't care how old you think he is. Um, I'm caring for them because they have a practice in Dallas, very near the house, where my parents can go, where they actually specialize in senior care. The expectation is that someone is coming with this patient.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that they said was, "Oh, we knew you were gonna be with them.
Mm-hmm.
When we saw it was your mom, we said, well, we know she coming. They know I'm going to be there. Now I have a little bit more flexibility in my calendar. Granted, everybody can't do that. And some people are living away from their parents, but I'm telling you, make sure somebody can be with them because what happened to my mother at the ER should not have happened. Someone should have been able to look and see and make the same determination the primary care physician did. But the ER doctor was not interested. It wasn't a big case where he was going to be able to use his big old brain and show everybody how smart and intelligent he was. It was just a little black lady. And here's the thing. The medical profession there's no teaching in medical school to understand people. We do it in corporate America. We have diversity training. We do it in the schools, but they don't do it in medicine because even though they're practicing medicine, and practicing on you, when you walk in there, you are a guinea pig, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
You are a guinea pig. So what ultimately ends up happening is you are trusting them to practice in such a way to get you a solution. Well, that didn't happen for us.
It was microwave medicine. That's what
That's
that was. It was microwave
That's
medicine.
exactly right.
And, I applaud UT Southwestern for all the great work that they're doing in medical research and, having their medical school students. But a lot of the time, how often have any of you gone to your doctor's office and they rush you in and out of there in 5 minutes? They fire off a barrage of questions and they're trying to get to the end and then you're in and out of the room so they can turn it over for the next patient. It's no different when you go to an ER. And I told Coy when she was telling me the story is that the nurse was trying to get to the correct diagnosis is what she was trying to do. There's a code associated with reimbursement. I'm a healthcare professional. I do not clinical work, but I do administrivia that leads to the reimbursement and the finance of it all. So she's trying to get to the correct code so that they can actually get paid for this visit with the least amount of effort. Exactly what that was.
Well, and I also think, and now y'all know I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist. I also think that when we go to the doctor, they've already made up their mind about us based on the fact that, see, Angelo Hispanic, and my Hispanic brother said, because he knows this is a black and brown problem. But let me say this. Because I know sometimes y'all say, oh, she just too black with blonde hair, baby. But the thing is, this is also about poor people. It's not just about color. It's about poor people. They decide that you are, one, if you don't have this big fantastic case where everybody can run around and brag about how smart they are in solving the problem, then you become just a number. And what she said was microwave medicine, and that's very true. Quick, hurry, next. But there was no one else in the ER. See, I left that part out. We were the only one. You know how little kids, the onlyest one. We were the only ones in there.
Well, and that's part of it though, because there are metrics that they have to meet for how quick is the response time. So if you're in and out of there, remember you used to have to go to the emergency room and it take you a whole 8 hours. It might be 24 before you even get in to see the doctor. People bleeding in the hallway, laying on, crash cars and all kinds of stuff. Well, they're trying to get away from that, and there's a metric now that stifles their payment based on the amount of time that it takes. So everybody wants to hurry up and be the best. You've seen all of these pop-ups for the standalone emergency
urgent care,
emergency rooms that are standalone.
Like children has their.
They're all over the northern part of town where they feel like people can afford that. Frisco, blah blah blah. But those places again, you walk in, there's no wait, there's no one sitting in there, and they, turn you over pretty quick, but then you get a $12,000 bill for those 30 minutes.
Right. I'm waiting to see what it is that they're going to charge my mother with. I'm waiting to see because I'm going to challenge it. Here's the other thing. I'm really big on us being better to our seniors. One of my huge concerns is health insurance. So y'all know that now you have all of it. Well, it's like if Obamacare. Let's just call it Obamacare. Trump is trying to undo it, but it's Obamacare. And so my mother is a retired teacher. Shout out to all the teachers. And my father is a union man, worked for AT&T for 41 years and 8 months, baby. So my dad always had great insurance, and my mother never fooled with Dallas Independent School District insurance. We always had it through my dad. And so y'all know my parents older, so I was old people's baby, me and my little brother. So my mom and dad were very well established before we came along. Okay, to that end, we've always had great health insurance, and even when I was on my own and I didn't have great health insurance, my mom and dad were just completely confuffled, baffled, and perplexed as to what. So you gotta pay. You gotta pay to go to that. What is it called, a copay? Like they were completely. It was unbeknownst to them. Well, insurance now, you pick your plan, and they have these people that call your moms and your dads, your aunties, your grandmothers, and they help them choose a plan. My mother, as a retired teacher, TRS, they have Humana. Okay, stay there. Get your cup. I'm about to fill it up. My dad had AARP United. Okay. Well, you're saying, why is that important? Stay with me. My dad could go to the doctor. He had no monthly premium. He had no copay. I mean, excuse me. Yeah, no copay. And he had, I think it was a copay if he went to a specialist. I think it's a copay for that. And he had no deductible.
He had Cadillac insurance, is what he had.
Okay. 41 years and 8 months.
Mhm.
My mother, who's been teaching school since heck was a pup, had Humana because that's what they put retired teachers on. With that being said, why is my video? With that being said, retired teachers were on Humana. Humana had a $500 deductible, $153 a month,
Couldn't afford to go.
and they had a copay.
Couldn't afford to go.
When I found that out, my mother needed to go. Now, here's the other thing about my mom. She's like, girl, this girl telling all my business on radio. Yes, ma'am, I am, because my mother's absolutely fabulous. My mother does not take any medication. She does not have hypertension, high cholesterol, heart disease, diabetes. My daddy might have Cadillac insurance, but my mama walking around here feeling like a Cadillac. So she doesn't see the doctor but once a year if she remembers. She doesn't have hurts and pain. And I am now advocating for her health in a way where I'm making her go to the doctor at least once a year. So when we went to the ENT because she had vertigo, I had to change it from Humana to what my dad had. And now it was 2 weeks before it cooked in. And then, of course, it was 2 weeks to get in to see the doctor because she had never seen it before. And I don't know why they do that. They make you wait until your right arm falls off before they see you. But they have someone who can advocate. I used to work in healthcare. Shanika works in healthcare. I have another very, very dear friend, my other hitter. She's in Houston in healthcare. So I have some resources available to me that everyone doesn't have. And that's granted. But what I am saying to you is Google is your friend. Pick up the phone and call them and ask them. You know what? Oftentimes they'll just tell you. They don't even have to know, if that person is a member of that insurance group. They will give you the information. So if we know that medical students are trained to not listen to you as if you cannot advocate for your own health, that means they come out with a preconceived notion. You got insurance companies that are sticking it to retirees. You have to do your part. If you know it's an older lady that always smiles at you at church, you know what? Just ask her how she's doing. Just ask her how she's feeling about her health insurance. We have to do this, Black people. This is what we have to do. Because, everybody doesn't have joy in their life. And so, this is what I've decided I'm going to do. And sometimes, y'all, look here. Sometimes, child, running these old people backwards and forwards can be a lot. But I'd rather do that than leave them to someone who's not going to see about them. I've been to Dr. Perry's office enough to know if my mother or father goes alone, then they're going to be all right. But one of the things that Dr. Perry does is she invites me to be a part, to be participatory in their healthcare. So Dr. Perry gave me some information, regarding my mother's physical. And she said, this is kind of like the doctor's Google. And so I've got given you some information. You read it at your luxury, and then call me if you have any questions. Okay, she understands that I am not only an advocate for my mother's health, but I'm participating and they're sharing information with me. Now, my mama signed the proper forms, but they're sharing the information. The other thing is, when we went to see Dr. Kenny, remember I told you about Dr. Peel at Clemens, who really didn't have time? He actually took the time to look and he said, oh, I see a small cut. Would you like to see? And invited me in the participation of my mother's health care. So this may be an isolated incident to my mother, but I guarantee you it's not an isolated incident when we're in the doctor's offices.
No.
And we need to be participatory in the health care of our parents. And, you know, the older people at the church, sometimes this is just what we have to do because if they're trained, now this woman is an ophthalmologist, which means she went to medical school. She's not an optometrist. She's an ophthalmologist, which means she can perform surgery. Okay, so I'm not crapping on any optometrists out there. I'm simply saying this woman can perform surgery. So she's a surgeon. She looked me in the face, called me by name. Now she trusts me. She's been knowing me for 8 years. My youngest child has never known another pediatrician, which is her husband. But she said, we are taught not to listen. They are trained to understand that you don't know enough about you to advocate for your own health. So we need to be careful about when they're going by this. And here's the other thing. My dad had, I'm telling all the business today. My dad had a brain aneurysm to rupture in 2006, May 8th, 2006, and he bled out in his brain for almost 8 hours. Now, we talk about health and wellness. My dad's never smoked, never drank, none of that. You know, he was already beyond 70 years old. 6 weeks later, so that was May 8th. 2006, 4th of July 2006, my dad was over his cousin's house eating barbecue after bleeding out in his brain for 8 to 10 hours. Okay, had surgery the whole night. His physician at that time expected to see me because from day one, I go. Okay, but I noticed the way they spoke to my dad, doctors and nurses, when we were in the hospital, and we were at Zale Lipshy, one of the top UT Southwestern. I worked at UT Southwest, so I knew. And at that time, I paid attention to how they were dismissive. Here's the other thing. Stop leaving people in the hospital by themselves. My dad had broken out from his scalp all the way to his feet in these little sores, and he said he was itching all over. So my mother said, this did not start until you gave him this particular medication. Well, they said no. They were also trying to give him insulin. He had just been diagnosed as a diabetic. Understand, he is not a diabetic anymore. You can get off of medicine. There are mechanisms. I'll talk about that in a moment. But my mother said he is not insulin dependent, but he will be when he leaves here if you all don't stop. So my mother put her foot down and said, no, you're not sticking him no more. Well, they ran and told the surgeon. My mama wasn't scared of the surgeon because you know how my family, what we say, flat-footed, 10 toes down, come like you coming. And then she told them no. And the surgeon, I guess they called his primary care physician, and she said, no, he's not insulin dependent. So they did not need to give him insulin. But we were there. I also have 4 brothers. So we were there around the clock. I actually slept at the hospital. I never left my dad. Somebody was always there. Well, to that end, they also tried to give him a medication to stop seizures. Well, now, I ain't no doctor. And then I didn't have any children. So, you know, but I'm Dr. Mom now. I know a whole lot more now. But I did some research, asked some people, and the part of his brain where he bled was not typical for having seizures. So now you have the pharmaceutical companies, and I have friends that are pharma reps, and they have told me they get their bonuses based on how many scripts the doctor writes. So if the doctor is writing the prescriptions in the hospital and you are helpless in the hospital, it's no more vulnerable place than you're ever going to be. If they're writing the prescriptions in the hospital and they're filling them through the hospital pharmacist and the nurse is administering the medication, they're getting, those pharma reps are getting those bonuses. And it's a cycle. So I asked them, why were they giving him that medicine? Because that was the medicine that was breaking him out. My mother was, you know, and they had kind of tried to wear my mother down. And I could tell that my mother was tired of having the conversation, but I also knew that she was going to be staunch and steadfast and not letting him get it. So when I stepped up, I said, well, you know, that's for seizures. They're like, yeah. I said, well, in the part of his brain, that's not typical seizure. Are you saying he's had a seizure in the part of? Because you have to also know. I mean, maybe WebMD is not the go-to all the time, but it is a resource for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying we have to advocate because, again, I cannot emphasize this enough. They are actually trained not to listen to you.
Well, and I just want to dovetail on that. I actually am a part of a situation where it is very difficult, and it's great when you're a daughter and you're extremely
I
involved.
agree.
It is extremely hard to get my male friend involved in the care for his mother, not just because of his occupation, he's not always available to her, but I think men don't see the
That's true.
subtle changes. They don't notice little things like women typically would. And so as I'm witnessing their interaction, I'm seeing the forgetfulness. I'm witnessing little activities of the fact that she eats the same thing every day, or sometimes not at all because she's not feeling hungry, that, she's gotten thin and is seemingly kind of wasting away a little bit just because
Senility.
their appetite changes, and she's not interested in Ensure or Boost or any of those things that will provide a nutritional supplement. You really have to be engaged, and medication management is top of that list.
It's
Doctors will
so true.
prescribe them any and everything. She may be taking two or three, and we found out two different types of blood pressure medications, and
Hmm.
had no idea what she was taking or what it was being given to her for. Transitioning
Right.
her health care from Colleen, who a doctor she had been seeing for many years,
Yeah.
to a new practitioner in Fort Worth, they never talked. They never
Right.
compared notes. So, she's calling one office in Colleen getting a prescription
And these doctors
and
are not talking to one
not
another.
talking to one another. So, I'm encouraging him. You have to be present.
Right.
I shouldn't be more concerned about your mother than
Than you
you are.
are. But for men, again, I have four brothers. So some of y'all out there like, what? Well, my daddy was married before he married my mama. He had three boys with her, and then they divorced and he married my mom. Okay, so get y'all's life together. And so my daddy got five children, my mama got two. So with that being said, my brothers fell completely apart
Oh,
when my
yeah.
when my daddy was sick. And I was there and I was doing everything. I was helping my mom. I quit my job. They called me and asked when I was coming back. I told them that plant in there is not mine. You can throw it in the trash. I had to help my mother. So, but I was in a position to do that. Okay. So, and everybody's not going to be in that position. But what I am saying is that you have to advocate because, to your point, my aunt in Tyler, Texas, was on 16 different medications
Hmm.
and taking them.
Hmm.
And finally, they got, because I told my cousin, I said, there's no way her body can tolerate all that.
Mhm.
Because here is the thing if you are on a medication and you are taking that medication daily, you need to be detoxing your liver and your kidney daily. Because what happens is it builds up and you can no longer flush that out. When you cannot, the liver and the kidney becomes toxic and the body shuts down. People who are on diabetes medicine for prolonged periods of time end up on kidney dialysis. You need to clean your liver and your kidney. You need to drink an antioxidant tea. So I say we sip and power the poor truth. I used to sit on the porch when I started this show and I used to tell y'all about healthy teas. I'm going back to that. I'm going back to things that you can do to just help your body. So when you are on medication, hear me well. Many of us are on hypertension medicine, diabetes medicine, high cholesterol medicine, and no, it is not hereditary. Let me tell you what is hereditary. You eat like your mama ate. Your mama eats like her mama ate. That is what's hereditary. If you put hog maws in your greens, you putting baby, what is it called? Ham fat back and ham hocks in your greens, then you're doing that because that's the way you were taught to do it. So your high blood pressure is not because it's hereditary. The way you eat
Mhm.
is hereditary, and we need to stop. We need to stop taking on and proclaiming illnesses and being ailed by certain things simply because we think it's okay because that's a factor of who we are as a people. That is not true. And you do not have to remain a diabetic. You don't have to remain on hypertension medicine. My dad was diagnosed with diabetes, and in 9 months, he was no longer a diabetic. My ex husband, when we were married, he was diagnosed as a diabetic. 12 months later, he was no longer a diabetic. Me and my mama don't play. And now my ex husband went back, picked it back up because I guess, child, he was missing it or something. But you don't have to be sick. It's not okay. And if you are at the doctor's office and they are telling you that you have hypertension, then your next question to them should be, what is the prognosis and what are the next steps? And if that doctor is not talking to you about nutrition, diet,
Change your
exercise,
diet.
and a lifestyle change to get you off of that medication, that's the wrong doctor for you. That doctor is pushing pills and going on increasing her or his relationship with that pharma rep so they can go eat at Paris. And my friends talk about how the bill at Paris would be $1,500 because the doctors would be ordering whole bottles of wine and packing it out the door. So you not only do you have to advocate for your parents and seniors, you have to advocate for yourself. If you have been on metformin, because that's the lowest dose of diabetes medicine, and they always tell you that, then you should be talking to them about how do I get the hell off.
For
of
those
metformin.
of you who have not watched it, I encourage you to watch What the Health on Netflix.
Yes,
everybody has Netflix. What the Health.
If you don't, just do like regular black people do and ask somebody for their password. That's what we've been doing. You don't have to have it. Just watch it. You know, but the truth is, I'm very passionate about this because more and more it is coming into my focus and purview that we are under attack. And sometimes the attack is indirect and it's not deliberate, but we are still under attack. If you have someone that's going to see you less than 2 minutes and you're sick, they don't even have another 2 minutes to hold a conversation with you, that's the wrong doctor for you.
And I am raising a future physician, and I will tell you that she's opted not to be a surgeon, which, you know,
which is very disappointing.
It was a little dismaying,
yeah.
But I realize where she's coming from with her decision to be a practitioner. She wants to be the relationship with her patients. She wants to be able to spend the time in the room to ask the questions to get to the detailed answer. And her specialty, she wants it to be adolescent medicine. So she's dealing with, you know, those in the tween years and beyond, where she can get to some of the illnesses as, you know, eating disorders and that kind of stuff.
I mean, stop it.
Yeah, and stop it.
Well, because for me, my youngest son is now 8 years old. Now her daughter's in college, but my son has said since he was 2 years old he wanted to be a doctor and he wanted to help babies with sick tummies because my oldest child was allergic to wheat and dairy and we did not know it, and he was sick in the he's going to go to college on a basketball scholarship. He's going to play basketball and then he's going to medical school. He's got it all wrapped out. One of my baby brothers, bruh, and then we have cousins that are cute. So shout out to Omega Psi Phi. Who don't love the bros? Everybody loves the bros. So with that being said, my son at 8 years old saw that my son was sick before we could get to Nadeau. And it was a process, even with Dr. Nadeau, shout out to Shine Pediatrics. It was a process with Dr. Nadeau because we knew he was allergic to wheat. We had to discover later that he was allergic to dairy. But that's what my son saw. And he wants to be in the trenches. So shout out to Miss Sid because she is recognizing that there are gaps and deficiencies in our healthcare. All right. So today was about health and wellness, brothers and sisters. I am hoping that you are sipping this power with me to pour truth, that you yourselves will be better to yourselves for one another.
I just have one final comment. I mean, Sydney decided she wanted to be a adolescent medicine doctor because of her own diagnosis with ADHD. And so what I would say to just parents out there, foster those seeds, foster the inspiration in your children and allow them to go and to soar. My daughter's in Toronto this summer, working with mice, injecting.
You're not being fair.
I'm not?
No, you're not.
No. Why?
Shanika is one of the few people that I know. She is my friend. She's my sister from another mister. But she is one of the few people, 12 years old when you let her do an exchange program in France, Paris.
12 weeks.
12 weeks. I freaked out. I'm like, oh my God. Now I'm thinking about how can I do that for my boys? So when we talk about health and wellness, you know, the truth of the matter is healthy is wealthy. We all chasing a dollar, but your health is really where your wealth lies. So we have to let our children soar. We have to advocate for our health. We have to see about our seniors, and we have to be good to one another. This is Coy with the Black Tea Sip. Sipping power to pour truth. I hope you've enjoyed me. I've enjoyed you. And next week we'll do it again one more time in a minute.
Bye, everybody. Oh, Lord. Well, they seem to like your show today. Great content.
You know, what happens is I'm gonna have to share it again and again and again because they keep cutting me out.
Mm.
Oh, I love it because of my belt keep flopping out. Oh, that's sweet. He joined late. And sometimes these people are on and not reflected over there.
Yeah, certainly more than 3. Or maybe that's real time. Like
That's Patrice.
Oh, okay.
That's Patrice. Okay.
All right. Hungry.
Me too. And I told her 1:15. I try to let the music play out. I don't know what happened here. Hello. Well, just pop it up. Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, it ain't no big deal. I'm not stressed or worried or upset at all. Bye. Okay. Well, it worked. So now we got to figure out why they keep muting me.